Okay, gang, let's finish up this our breakdown of this 20 minutes of the worst WWE injuries. We started this video a couple days ago from Tap Out Corner here, and I thought it was good in between. We did a wholesome moments in WWE video, and that was kind of a cool little break for me because some of these are tough to watch. You know, I feel empathy for the wrestlers that get serious injuries because I know how much it means. It's not the pain of the injury itself; it's what it does to your career and the things that you wanted to accomplish and the stories you wanted to tell. It literally and physically and emotionally hurts. So yeah, that stuff. It drives home to me.
When the match is immediately stopped and the referee throws up the X
Correct.
sign. Unfortunately, that's what happened in the main event of NXT UK in February 2022. Blair Davenport
I don't remember this.
Mora fought in a Japanese street fight. Despite the match type, the injury was not caused by any weapon.
And before I even find out what caused it, it's amazing how often I've said that before. That happens a lot of times when you got a match playing with a lot of big spots, a lot of spots that are on the edge. That's not where you get hurt. It's always something simple.
Davenport jumped from the top turnbuckle and hit Satomura with a stomp to the back. Blair landed awkwardly on her left foot and began shouting in pain. Within seconds, the
that
referee
looked
the
ugly.
bell and gave the X sign, signaling that this injury was real. The landing hurt Blair's left ankle, but thankfully, after being out of action for about 4 months, Blair was able to return to the ring.
Oh, that's cool. Did you see the angle that landed at? Yeah, that's, see, that's the kind of stuff that bothers me. And again, for the worker, for the wrestler,
Blair landed awkwardly
it's more of the pain. Oh, wow.
The referee called for the bell.
It's more
signaling that this
than the pain. It's
real. The
knowing you're done for a while.
Thankfully, after being out of action for about 4 months, Blair was able to return.
Oh, that's cool.
Ladder matches are some of those brutal matches WWE puts on each year, and the 2022 Money in the Bank was no exception.
Oh, that's good stuff. It's terrible. I miss that stuff.
She had a few mistakes during the match.
Yeah, I see spots like that, and it's like, yeah.
Shotzi performed the move from the top rope, but ended up hitting the ladder below. It appears her back and/or head got clipped by the ladder on the way down.
Ooh, right in the back of the neck. Oh, shit.
By the blood on her face. In 2009.
Oh, yeah, that's, and again, the laceration's bad and it's sore, but it's that the angle her head got hit and snapped.
With the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. It was an awesome fight, but unfortunately, it wasn't without issues. Hardy and Edge had been wrestling
that
for a
type
while
of
and ended up
match,
on a ladder that was
not
outside
uncommon.
of the ring. The structure tipped over, and both men went crashing through a second ladder. Unfortunately, the charismatic Enigma overshot it and ended up landing on the floor.
Yeah, I guess he did.
Shoulder, but he was able to continue the match. Say what you
will
know about Brock.
He had plenty of issues. It's unfortunate. But the one thing you can say about Jeff Hardy, he wasn't just, he was wildly entertaining and he was a daredevil. He is a tough guy.
Lesnar, the guy can hurt you
bad
for real. After a long absence from WWE,
couldn't get right.
Lesnar made his in-ring return at the 2012 Extreme Rules. His opponent was John Cena, and in less than 30 seconds, Brock had busted Cena's head wide open. It was so bad that the match had to be stopped temporarily. Lesnar was so reckless during the match, he ended up hurting himself too. Later on, the Beast dove at John Cena and ended up flipping out of the ring and onto the floor.
Christ.
Brock looked like he hurt his knee, but both wrestlers were able to keep fighting and finish the match.
See, this is why I had huge respect for Lesnar. I told you guys that over and over. I mean, he was willing to do whatever to put a match over. Talk about throwing caution to the wind. And those forearms, had to be something they worked together. Because there's no way Brock would do that to him as a shoot.
The Beast dove at John Cena and
so
ended up
they were just using that, to create a gash. I'm assuming.
But both wrestlers...
Because otherwise, Brock was looking for a shoot, and I don't think that was the case at all.
Keep fighting and finish the match.
Similar to what happened later on?
This shows how dangerous
with
can be,
Orton,
even if you aren't involved in the match. The 2011 Extreme Rules was a big moment. After Edge vacated the World Heavyweight Championship, Christian and Alberto Del Rio fought to become the new champion. It looked like Captain Charisma was about to grab the title.
I remember when this was happening.
Brodus Clay ran in. Christian managed to get the better of Brodus and throw a ladder into his face.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, the weapon busted open Brodus Clay's head. Luckily, it wasn't too serious, and Clay was ready to get back to work very soon.
I was just going to say that again falls into the category of stuff that Brodus Clay's been in the business a while. When you work those types of matches, you know stuff. You're going to get cut by things.
When Dead Man Bleeds.
You know that's part of it.
In 2019, The Undertaker made a rare appearance at Extreme
It doesn't
Rules,
even
teaming
phase
up
after a
with
while,
Roman Reigns
genuinely.
to take on Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. The tag team match was nothing short of chaos, and it only got worse when Elias ran in and smashed a guitar into Undertaker's back.
Okay.
Unfortunately, splinters from the wooden guitar got stuck in Undertaker's skin. It was made clear that something went wrong as blood began to pour from the Phenom's back. Thankfully, it wasn't anything the Dead Man couldn't handle, and he got the last laugh when he tombstone piledrive Shane McMahon and won the match.
I was going to say, and yeah, that stuff stings, that hurts, but okay, you got splinters in your back, it's no different than falling on thumbtacks or one of the many other shards of things that we get stuck in our bodies in this
Rumble
business.
was going pretty smoothly until the final 10 minutes. The remaining 5 wrestlers formed an alliance to try and eliminate the Big Show. They did everything they had, but this only angered the Giant. Show eventually fought back and used his monstrous strength to catapult John Cena over the top rope.
Oh!
The future 16-time world champion bent his knee awkwardly when...
I hate... Oh, man, that stuff. Those are the ones I'm talking about that I hate seeing. Yeah. Again, this is just from my own experiences. But you can show me lacerations all day long, and I'll giggle and chuckle at it. Or getting hit in the... Not to the face of like what happened to John, I can't remember his last name, with the ladder when his face was destroyed. But like with what happened to Brodus, big deal. That stuff, that bothers me.
He landed,
and
it resulted
that's horrible.
In him tearing his MCL. Even though he had to wear a knee brace for a while and was temporarily limited with what he could do in the ring, Cena continued to compete, even appearing on SmackDown only 5 days after his injury. I guess that's why he's called the Champ.
I mean, that's why I have a lot of respect for these guys. You just go out and you do it anyway. And trust me, I'm not trying to compare myself to guys who have achieved that level at all, but I can remember that. You know, you have a match booked. Not only would I have to work all week, I had a physical day job, but you were still injured, and it's like, I ain't dead, so, you know, I'm going to do the show.
Kind of a big deal. It was held in Madison Square Garden. Michael Buffer was the guest announcer. It was the first WWE pay-per-view in HD, and Shawn Michaels and Undertaker were the first 2 entrants.
All right.
Everything was fine until the 4th participant, Hardcore Holly, got into the ring. Michaels was lying on the mat, so Holly decided to assault him with a few stomps. Pretty normal wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
But one of those boots landed straight on
his
HBK's face. After laying low for a short while, the showstopper got back into the action. At first, it didn't look so bad, but that changed pretty quickly.
Yeah, that looked like
blood began to pour from Shawn Michaels' nose.
That looked like a pretty stiff stomp.
Michaels continued wrestling for roughly half an hour.
Tough to breathe, though, with a
all with a bloody
bad nose
probably
bleed like
broken
that.
Nose. It's interesting.
That one, you know, that's unfortunate. Holly was, if you look at those kicks, though, he was working them. He wasn't killing them with them. That was just one of those unfortunate things where I think Shawn turned his head when Holly didn't think he was going to. You know, they was going to keep taking him to the back of the head, side of the head. So
interesting looking back at CM Punk's final days in WWE. Now that we have insight into what was going on,
because he was definitely working the kicks.
The 2014 Royal Rumble,
Holly was always known to be stiff.
Backstage, and was also suffering from a staph infection. So before the bell even run, Punk was not in the best place.
No.
This is made even worse when the number 8 entrant, Kofi Kingston, got into the ring.
Okay.
In signature fashion, Kofi got started by hitting a clothesline, and while it may have looked normal,
like that move.
CM Punk later revealed that he actually got a concussion from it. To make matters worse, Punk wrestled for another 40 minutes before being a concussion from it.
I mean, I certainly believe him, but it didn't look that bad, did it? Watch for the head snap, guys.
And while it may have looked normal,
yeah, I guess there's a little.
CM Punk later revealed that he actually got a concussion from it. To make matters worse,
I mean, I wouldn't doubt him, obviously. If he said he got a concussion, he got a concussion. But that's the thing I learned about having all those concussions, and when they gave me all the details and the protocols you go through, concussions affect people differently. Some people can get one, and I know a person this happened to, and have it actually affect them for the rest of their lives. And other people, like me, for whatever, can get a bunch of them, and I can't say I got away unscathed, you know. But so far, anyway, to this point in my life, not any major issues. And also with that, some people are more susceptible to them. They can become concussed easier.
For another 40 minutes before being eliminated, and also received a chokeslam from Kane through one of the announcers.
Oh, that's got to be fun when you got a concussion.
Man, but I'm guessing he isn't too fond of this night. But
you have different levels of concussion too. There's 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Having made his WWE debut 7 months earlier,
that I learned
the 2003
being
Royal
diagnosed
Rumble was
too.
going to be Chris Nowinski's first appearance at the event. He entered very early at the number 3 position.
That's why Nowitzki had to leave.
Decided to stay on the outside for a while. Eventually, when the moment was right, he slid into the ring and began getting his hands dirty. As the match continued, Rey Mysterio and Edge went to double team.
And he's gotten big
on opposite turnbuckles to hit dueling missile drop kicks.
There it is.
However, their timing was off, and Edge ended up landing on
that one I remember.
Head.
And
instantly, you can tell
he's become
in pain, and thankfully he was eliminated.
Done a lot of study and become a big advocate for
but ongoing
safety
symptoms
with
ultimately led him to retire.
Yep.
After his classic
with head injuries,
Brett, Stone Cold began feuding with another member of the Hart family, Owen. After squaring off in tag team matches, the two finally went one-on-one at the 1997 SummerSlam. The matchup should have been a classic, but it's most well known for one moment.
Yeah.
After competing for about 15
I'll never
minutes,
understand. Now
Owen
see,
a pile driver.
Right there, that just disappointed me so much because Owen is such a pro, and what you do in that situation, I mean, you've got to get Stone Cold in place, make sure he's in proper position before you go through with the move. And if he's not, drop him, do something. I don't mean on his head. I mean, blow the move. Even if you got to pretend like you went to give it to you and you slip and let him fall on top of you and then get back into it, you can't go through with that move.
One moment.
I'm just shocked. I was always shocked.
Owen performed a pile driver, and it was immediately clear that something was wrong.
His head was so too far down.
Temporary paralysis. Owen Hart began taunting the crowd to buy the Texas rattlesnake some time, and after a minute, that likely felt like an hour, Steve Austin managed to roll up Hart for the win. Thankfully, Stone Cold recovered and went on to become the legend we know today.
Stone Cold recovered. That was a lot of what led to him having to leave the business. That was a serious injury.
The 2016
wasn't just Stone Cold recovered.
Historic. The Universal Championship
that just always really
and
disappointed me.
Finn Balor got to square off to see who would become the first man to ever hold the title. The match started off all right, but within the first 3 minutes, disaster struck.
You know what? It's funny too, because a lot of these, I can remember these matches being set up, but I've told you guys I had my own little difficulties in dealing with watching wrestling when I knew I couldn't wrestle anymore. So a lot of times I would see the setup and I would skip the pay-per-views and stuff because it just bothered me too much to watch them.
Pulled Balor to the outside and sent the Demon King flying into the ringside barricade.
Shoulder.
The impact was so hard
elbow?
that it caused Finn Balor's shoulder to be dislocated.
Yeah, because he caught that at an awkward angle.
To wrestle for another 16 minutes. While Finn did become the inaugural Universal Champion, he unfortunately had to relinquish it the next night in order to undergo shoulder surgery.
That looked like a really awkward angle.
Following year, but sadly hasn't won a single world title since then.
Finn, I saw him one time, Charlotte Airport, right here in North Carolina. I was going to pick up my wife, and as I was coming in, I saw him coming out, and I didn't say anything to him. Listen, when you're a wrestler, and you know he had his hood pulled up and everything, and you keep that kind of travel schedule, you just want to get to the airport, get the hell out, and get to your room. You don't want to be bothered by somebody saying, "Hey Finn, good," even just "Hey Finn, good work," because if I said anything to him, other people were going to see that he was a celebrity. It was Finn Balor. I was surprised by how small he is, though. I mean, you know he's a smaller wrestler just by nature of watching him work, but it struck me a little up close. He was even smaller than I thought. No disrespect, Finn.
The King of the Ring winner challenged the WWE Champion Diesel to a match at SummerSlam. The contest itself wasn't great, but it was made even worse when King Mabel jumped at Diesel. The force
Jesus Christ, dude!
And Diesel, or Kevin Nash, would later say he wasn't able to feel his legs. After laying on the mat for a while, the two men were able to get back on their feet.
But the thing is, with Mabel, he didn't do
Nash,
anything
after the show was over,
to try and protect him. He just landed on him. Holy shit, dude!
Mabel. However, despite being upset, Kevin Nash spoke up and prevented that from happening. In the midst of their love triangle storyline involving Stephanie McMahon, Triple H and Kurt
Damn.
Angle faced off in a
That's
triple
pretty
threat
bad,
match
though.
at SummerSlam,
You have
which
no
also
concern
included
about what you're
Rock.
doing to somebody
The
else.
feud was so intense that the game and the Olympic gold medalists began brawling before the Great One had even made his entrance. The fight eventually made its way to the outside, where Triple H decided to hit Angle with a pedigree.
These
on
two
the
guys
Spanish
are so
table.
good.
The table
Yeah,
absolutely
we all
gave
know
way
about that.
before the move
And
was executed.
Kurt went
and this
night-night.
caused Kurt to slam his head onto the floor. The Olympian ended up suffering a concussion and was taken to the back. Kurt
Won a
Angle
gold medal
did
with a
return later in the match,
broken
and would later
freaking
credit
neck
Stephanie McMahon
and wrestled the
Triple
whole
H
match.
for helping him get through it.
With a broken
Unfortunately,
freaking brain.
The following SummerSlam in
Gotta give him
2001
credit.
wasn't injury-free
Damn.
either. And ironically, this one involved Stephanie McMahon too. As part of the Invasion storyline, Rhino and Chris Jericho squared off after Y2J insulted
Listen,
the, quote,
Y2J
owner
had that
of
great
ECW,
insult on
Stephanie. During their SummerSlam match, Rhino countered
And
a
I'll
top
get
rope
you
dive
too,
from
Rhino.
Jericho with a gore. The impact caused Jericho's head to snap back and collide with the arena floor.
There's
It doesn't seem
a-
like it was too serious, but the
That-
Ayatollah of rock and roll
that one
did
absolutely
appear to be a
looks
bit
serious.
dazed and even botched a couple of moves.
Wait a second, wait a second, wait a second.
Rhino
You
countered
looked
a
at
top
that
rope
head
dive from
snap and said
Jericho
that one
with a
didn't look
gore.
serious?
The impact caused Jericho's head to snap back and collide
That's a
with the arena
vicious
floor.
head snap.
It doesn't seem like it was too
Jesus
serious,
Christ, dude,
but
that's-
the Ayatollah of rock and roll.
that is
did appear to
exactly
be
how you get
dazed
seriously
and even botched
concussed.
a couple of moves. Luckily for Y2J, he's able to lock in the walls of Jericho and pick up the win.
See, again, a lot of that I can identify with. I couldn't tell you guys how many times I finished matches and have no idea what went on. A lot of the things I remember from either later in my career, you know, when you would have some video or pictures, and a lot of it I remember from guys telling me stories of what happened. It's just nature of the beast, I guess. But yeah, some of those are tough to watch.